I'm John, creative director on Need for Speed. Been with Criterion for just about coming up 12 years. Worked on many Need for Speeds in my time, as well as some other stuff, as well on things like Battlefront and VR and Firestorm and all sorts. It's a hell of a ride, and looking forward to actually pushing forward on Need for Speed and speaking to all you guys.
Yeah, we've had some really cool and varied questions in on the Reddit post. There's been a lot. We probably should have put a few more rules in when it came to actually the questions that we were asking, because there was the usernames as well, yeah, but that's not our fault. That's a Reddit fault. But yeah, there was some interesting usernames, but also a lot of questions, and I think that just shows just how committed this community is, and how exciting it is. So. Yeah, but yeah, just to, obviously, I know you guys have just introduced yourself, but just to kind of say thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We have over 250 people in the audience, which is really, really cool. I think we can have up to maybe 600 people in here. I don't think we'll reach quite that many people, but we'll have this will be a fun time here. And thank you everyone who has submitted a question into the Reddit post as well. Unfortunately, we won't be able to take any questions from the chat, which Club Sport has very kindly put a note in the chat to do. Unfortunately, we can't pin that, but maybe he'll post that once in a while just to remind people. But obviously, we had a lot of questions come in, and we're so sorry if we can't get your question to either John or Pat. But we'll do our best to go through kind of as many as possible. And obviously, the questions are going to be around year 2, which is Kaizen. That's the philosophy for the second year of live service for Need for Speed Unbound. So lots to dive into. And do you know what? With this being our first time, let us know how it's gone and whether we should do this again. Anything you change as well. Maybe me fixing my mic at the start is one thing that we could change. Just to kick things off. But I tell you what, we'll jump straight into the first questions, because we obviously don't have loads of time. But I think this one's going to be taken by you, John, so you can kind of kick things off here. So, and that is Volume 7 inspired only by the game modes or the games as a whole? Because obviously there was a reference there on the roadmap that we talked about, and that was from Why Hate on Civics was the Reddit username. So maybe you could.
Why hate on Civics? Indeed, Civics are awesome.
Indeed.
So as we said, for Volume 7, we're going to be inspired by Underground, and it is going to be more than just the game modes. We can't go into full details at the moment, but as we'll probably say 1,000 times throughout the course of these questions, we are celebrating 30 years of Need for Speed. We love the heritage that's come from Need for Speed, so look out, there'll probably be more in there than just game modes.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the one thing you can kind of take from all these questions, is that there is a lot of a lot of passion for this series, that's for sure. Another question here, I think this is for you, John, from Green Flame 361, who said a lot of people have a lot of love for the old games, myself included. In Unbound, there were some great callbacks, such as having a noise bomb set of cosmetics. Do you have any plans to bring more throwback details like this to Unbound?
Again, to kind of touch on the fact that we're 30 years of Need for Speed, and we really want to celebrate that across. So again, we will look into ways in which we could do this. You kind of bet we want to explore as many ways as possible to be able to celebrate that across the year. So again, not full details, but definitely want to be able to explore that, and that's definitely a good avenue for us to go down. So.
Yeah, basically you got to keep an eye on our channels to get the full scoop, because we want to keep some things a little bit under wraps for now, to keep you guys excited for longer. And then another one here for you, John, as well. Another one on Volume 7 too. So this is from Hargabt, which is G-A-B-T. Would you say that any differently? Hargabt, maybe? Hargabt. So it says here the roadmap mentions Volume 7 having drift and drag type modes, but since there are drift events in Lakeshore Online already, in what way would new advertised drift mode differ from the new one?
So you can, from the philosophy of what we're trying to run with Kaizen, so if you haven't had a chance to look at it, jump on a blog and do have a look. We want to try out some new things. We say we're inspired by Underground. So you can bet that there's going to be some changes in there to the existing game mode that we've already got in around Drift. This is going to be something that's got more depth, more mastery, and yeah, without going into too much more details, it will definitely feel different.
Cool. Right. Well, I'll throw this one to you now, Pat. This is from Gore134. I'm just going to focus on you. There we go. So, what are the chances of getting more customization parts for existing cars and new wheels? And we had a lot of similar questions like this as well. So, if you did ask a similar question, maybe head back onto the thread and find the answer to this one as well. It says here a lot of older cars have a lot of aftermarket support today, which aren't featured in the game. So just a bit of context.
Yeah, it's a great question. There are tons of cars out there now that do have a lot of great aftermarket support, and we see that a lot. It's a tough balance for us in this year between the new cars that we'll bring, customization we'll bring on those, plus anything else that we would do in the past. As my vehicle art director very recently just told me, sometimes we do sneak in a few updates to some of the older cars, but I can't guarantee that we can do that for this period, for this year. We'll keep looking at it and see if we can find opportunities for it, but it's definitely a path that we want to look at when we start to consider what we might do next with Need for Speed. Going back, looking at those cars, giving them a bit more of an update, adding more stuff to it makes perfect sense.
Cool. And Gore134 actually asked a few really good questions. I think that's why their comment got so many upvotes as well. But here's a bit of a contentious one. This is one that we had a few other responses, similar questions about, which is, what's the status of Toyota's relations with Need for Speed? Is there a possibility of Toyota coming back to Need for Speed in the near future?
Classic. I love this question. But everyone wants to hear the answer to this question. Yeah, I love Toyota. We all do. We love Toyota and Toyota's past in Need for Speed. The issue is we are always trying to find avenues where we can work together, and we haven't found that yet. So we'll always keep trying, we'll keep doing it, but that's probably about as much as I can say, or I know, before it goes into things that I'm not allowed to talk about or I shouldn't talk about. So there's no loss of love between the two companies, between us. We just haven't found the right mix yet.
Yeah, I think everyone would probably agree with you there that there's a lot of love for Toyota, like both internally and externally as well. John, I'm going to throw this last one from Gore over to you, which is, can we see the return of Need for Speed Carbon style canyon duels? This is one of the best racing modes in Need for Speed, in my opinion, fueling adrenaline really well, racing alongside a cliff with super intense music and trying not to fly off. But I don't recall seeing too many cliffs in Lakeshore.
Yeah, so it is a great question, and yeah, as you say, we love the old games too, right? So we're a little light on canyons in Lakeshore, but that's not to say the kind of idea of an intense 1v1 event is something that we couldn't explore. Definitely something that's been high up there on our list, our ever-growing backlog list. But yeah, it's something that we could explore, the kind of nature of it. But obviously, carving canyons into Lakeshore, that would probably be a difficult one. But yeah, we could see what we could do on the mode.
Good answer. And less of a question, this one from Vinod CR7, but it's please increase the server size from 16 to 32 players.
Was that for me? Sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I
guess maybe to comment on just like the possibility of increasing server size from 16 to 32.
Okay, right. We'll go in. Kaizen is all about, and our kind of year two is all about being open and transparent, right? Moving our player count from 16 to 32 is no mean feat, honestly. In terms of like changing the infrastructure, we hear it, we understand. And we understand that people want to have more players in online and play together. We do want to explore the opportunities to do things like expanding party sizes and things like that. But honestly, like trying to change the infrastructure on a game that's live on a code base that we already have isn't going to be an easy one.
Yeah, no, very honest answer, and that goes back to our whole transparency angle of this as well. And yeah, there were a couple of other questions similar to that in terms of party size as well. So I think your question kind of really reflects that in general, really. Now, it's a really good one here. John, I'll keep you highlighted for the time being, but I think this is one that you're probably going to take. But it's a really nice question with a bit of good sentiment behind it as well. So it says. And this is from Spyros545 as well, which it says, "Hi, thanks guys. We really appreciate that you guys are giving Need for Speed Unbound more updates. A modern Need for Speed game hasn't gotten this much support in years. We also highly appreciate this new communication aspect between us players and new developers. My question is, will you guys still consider adding any updates to single player in the future volumes? Anything related to single player, as single player fans would love to see police AI improvements, more event variety in the calendar system, economy improvements, etc. Possibly even new game modes like drag could be incorporated into the Grand." But Pat, I think you were going to take this, weren't you? So,
yeah. So it's a bit of a tricky one in terms of the game that we've already built. What we're intending to look at over this year of Kaizen is to really give Need for Speed a strong live service that it's been due for a long time. But a heck of a lot of Need for Speed players do play the single player story mode, which we recognize, we know that. So we're making adjustments to some things that will help bring in single player players to feel a part of that live service. But I can't promise too many things that we could do too much in that area, but we are looking at where it makes sense and what we can do. And you'll see the first part of that coming in Volume 6.
Nice little teaser there for Volume 6 too. So yeah, take that what you will. And Pat, with you still highlighted here, I'll give you a couple of more questions so we're not flipping back between you two too often. The first one here is from... it's a username I probably can't say on this Discord channel without it being clipped and taken completely out of context. But I think the person who's asked the question will know what their username is. So I won't be reciting that back. But let's just say it starts with Eaton is the first word. And the question is, I'm actually interested to know if you have any considerations for more user-generated content, such as like a track editor. They say, I feel like there are a lot of unused areas in the map in terms of events. I think this gives a sense of community. Whoever has the most popular track or tracks can be featured in special playlists, hypothetically.
Yeah, that's a super good question, and a hot topic as well. Quite a lot of people are doing a lot of stuff with UGC at the moment, and you could argue we're not really up there with what they're doing. It's something we're looking closely at. It's something that we really want to focus on when we think about what the future of Need for Speed might be. The difficulty is always adding a lot of those things into something that we already built that wasn't intended to have a lot of those particular elements. So I think it's a great thing. It's something we should keep talking about with the community, with all of you, on what you mean by UGC and what you want to see for the future in Need for Speed. And it's a big one for us to look at and dive into in detail. Probably more so for next. I see people mention photo mode. Potentially there's possibilities for us to look. We know we kind of didn't bring the level of photo mode that we had before, and that's tough. We recognize that one, and we're sorry that that's not there in that way. We are looking at what we can do in that, but again, I can't promise anything today necessarily on that one.
No, good answer, and yeah, great question as well. And another question here from Dark Halo 314, which is, will we get a patch in one of these seasons that will allow us to obtain and keep our garage, the Need for Speed Most Wanted BMW M3 GTR in single player? I know that we can access it in game for one mission, but I'd like to keep it for use in single player free roam.
I thought everyone was sick of the M3.
Yeah, no one likes that car, right?
Yeah, no one wants it anymore. That's what I heard. Yes, interesting question. That is probably a possibility of something we should think about. Maybe that comes in a future volume. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure. I think it's a good idea. Maybe we should think about it.
I think I would go let us know. Do you want to see it? Do you not?
Yeah, do you want to see it, or are you sick of it?
All right. Well, and then there's one more question here from Dark Halo 314. Then we'll hand it back over to you, John. Which is, what is your favorite or most memorable bug/glitch throughout Unbound's development? A nice question, that.
Was that to me still?
Yeah, that one's you for the time being,
Oh.
and the next one's John.
So I've worked a lot in cutscenes on the past on a lot of our games, and they bring the hilarious. There's always so much jank in some of the cutscenes that it's hard not to laugh at them. And I think some of the funniest ones are going to be, for me, there was one where Yaz points at a load of racers inside of the meetup, and she says, like, that guy. And that guy we had at the particular time was pulling a stupid pose, was an animation from something else, just looks ridiculous. That, or when the skinning goes wrong and the faces turn inside out, is always fun. There's always fun to be had in cutscenes. Glitch paradise.
Yeah, Unbound horror update when? That sounds traumatizing.
Yeah, easy enough.
I don't know if you guys saw actually I think it was the Hogwarts Legacy developers. They published a video which was like it was like a supercut of a bunch of like awful glitches that they posted over the years. So I think if you take a look at that, you probably would probably be like, oh yeah, that's something familiar on our game as well. Just the joys of development, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, one of the
people still see those, right? I've played many games where I still see that.
I remember, yeah, one of the ones that we actually ended up shipping with, and then we actually fixed, was the one where we had a place in downtown where you could drive into a little cul-de-sac. There was a truck there, and if you drove into it at a certain angle, you got launched across the level. That was fun. Fun but jank. But yeah, some of these things slip through. But
all right, well, moving on. So we've got a few questions here from Lil Manaki. Again, probably butchered the name there, but these are Reddit names, not not proper names, I suppose. And the first question they've got here is: would something on the lines of expanding upon the police, like a bounty system or a list of targets we can interact with and take down, be interesting to develop in the near future or as endgame material?
it's a funny one because the team will tell you that this is something that I go on about quite a lot. So yeah, I love this idea. I love cops in general for Need for Speed. It's like one of our USPs, right? Yeah, I would say we could see. We'll see what we could do going forward in the future volumes. Obviously, we've got our inspired pop shoot volume that we've got coming out in volume 8. So yeah, never say never. And yeah, I do love the idea of bounty hunters. There's something about like a specific additional cop level coming in and bringing the pain. So, and then you taking it to other people too.
Yeah, good suggestion for sure. And then we've got another one here, which is what would your thoughts be on a revamped takeover mode with a focus on crews and taking over sections of a city, similar to Carbon, if one isn't in development yet?
Yeah, that's a super interesting one too. We've definitely talked about this a lot in the past, the idea of crews in general and how you then weave crews into play at the same time. I think, again, like putting something like crews into the game for Unbound could be a potentially heavy lift, but it doesn't say that we can't necessarily do something like as the good suggestion is there, utilizing link ups that we already have. So there might be something around that we could do. And there's certainly, we like the play of link ups, and we want to see what we can do and expand that out into different ways. So
cool. And what are your thoughts on pink slip races?
I loved them. This comes down to another piece of transparency, I guess, is that pink slips in general is a cool, right? The idea and the whole thing around Need for Speed is around risk reward. What's more risky than losing a car that you've belovedly spent a lot of time on? But therein lies the rub, that if something was to go wrong with a pink slip race and then you lost that car and you felt like it was unjust, then that's bad times. So again, some way of us doing this system, some way of us having pink slips in, absolutely. But we'd have to see if it's something that we could put in for Kaizen. But by and large, pink slips, very cool.
And a final question here from Lenny Maliki, which was Chicago the first choice for the inspiration of Lakeshore City?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. One of the initial places we were looking at was Detroit. But what we found with Detroit was actually it was kind of too flat. And we didn't get the kind of undulation. There was a thing that we used throughout development, which was the term over under through. So you look for over under through opportunities within the world. And we felt like there wasn't naturally going to be enough of that. And then we looked at Chicago. Chicago was great. So yeah, actually, great question. But yeah, the initial one was Detroit.
Cool. And then one last question here for you, John, for the time being. And this is from Smiling Menace 1420. Will the police AI be tweaked in single or multiplayer to be more challenging, like in the older titles? I'm sure that's a relatively popular question that people would like answered.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as I say, we've kind of cops is so fundamental for us that yeah, it's definitely something that we want to investigate, have been investigating. So yeah, without going into full details, the idea of cops being there and being punishing and you being able to have more fun, more play, more escape from them, definitely high up on our list.
Cool. And actually, there's another question here from Smiling Menace as well, which you could probably take, John, which is, can we expect more rims along with additional body kits for existing vehicles? But obviously, we touched on that a little bit already.
Yeah, I think that on the body kit side, it's something that we've spoken about, in the past, and people are aware of, especially all of you guys, being so invested, is that the way in which our body kits work and our parts work is that they have to be kind of handcrafted. You have to handcraft each of the parts so they connect together and they work well. So actually adding more in can, be a time sink. We're, as we said, we're kind of a small team. So yeah, but on the rim side, could be an option. Definitely could be an option for us. We just have to, again, as I say, kind of weigh up between creating cars and the work that our amazing car artists are currently doing, our vehicle artists are doing, and they're doing there, versus creating, customization like rims. So
yeah, it's all about that balance, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And actually, I'll throw this one to you to start with, John. But Pat, you can probably answer this as well. But the question here is, what's your favorite muscle car out of the Need for Speed games? For example, Corvette and Viper don't. It says FYI, Corvette and Viper don't count, despite what Carbon says, and that's from Badger Lover 145.
Why?
I don't know. They made the rules.
This might be an unpopular opinion, so who knows? Well, I do like a Charger. It's a bit popular. It's a bit like, obviously it's been used by a certain guy in a vest who likes to carry big wrenches around, but it's it's just cool. It's iconic, right? So that'd be my answer.
What about you, Pat?
I don't know. Could I be really controversial? And is an M4 a muscle car? Is German muscle okay, or is that not okay? I mean, that's controversial.
That's definitely controversial. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Maybe we'll. That's few people. It's conflicting opinion in the chat by the looks of things. So
imagine that.
I like to question reality. So
absolutely. Yeah, we'll leave that. That's a good little mic drop there. Now, the Wizard, spelt wrong, might I add. Maybe the Wizard spelt correctly was already taken as a username. Says here, would you like to give us a hint about Volume 9, because the roadmap looks promising? Obviously, that's looking a little bit further into that roadmap. That's for you, Pat.
Volume 9, question mark, right?
Having done Volume 6, yeah, come on.
All I would say is, to coin John, if you ever hang around with John for a bit, he'll talk about Kaizen a lot and how Kaizen's a great philosophy of improvement and stepstones and stepstoning and moving to something. So I would say, if you want to know what Volume 9 is, then watch Volume 6, Volume 7, Volume 8 and see how they build. That's all I'll say.
Cryptic, but I like it.
The real secret is we don't actually know what it is yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't worked out yet. Another question here for you, Pat, from from Diamond Master 07. Now, actually, I could probably take half of this question here, but actually, no, I will take the top half because we've already answered the second half, which was about the party size increase. But the question was around what primary platform we take feedback from, like community feedback. So I mean, you're in one already. The Discord channel is something that like we're monitoring all the time, and whilst we might not always be speaking all the time, we've got some brilliant mods in here that are helping you guys out and trying to articulate some of your guys' thoughts to us, and then also EA answers as well. And then we're always got our eyes on the social media channels too, including Reddit. So and hopefully over the next kind of few weeks and months, with Volume 2 kind of kicking it, Volume 2 Year 2 kicking in, you'll start seeing a little bit more responsiveness from us and more Pat, you and John, you've both mentioned it, the transparency. So it's all about that, really. Over the next few weeks and months, you'll see more of that. John, I'll throw this one over to you now. One conspicuous, so I'm sure, probably assuming that was meant to say inconspicuous. Will there be any car performance balancing? Imagining that's throughout Kaizen.
Yeah, so to say, there will be things coming that will be interesting to test out. But in terms of the actual balancing itself, if there are big issues, and we'll have spotted some issues before around like the VW Golf, for example, right? So go ahead and fix that little rocket there. If there are big things that are kind of like breaking the meta, then let us know, and then we can try and get in and fix those. We really want to make sure that we're targeting the fix that matter to you guys most, because we can't do all the fixes as a small team. We've got lots doing. We want to know, so raise them up. What are the big issues that are hitting you? And if there's something to do around a specific car's performance, then we'll jump on it.
Sounds good. And then another question here for you from El Polo Boy, which is, would it be possible to have private lobbies in the game?
Oh, is that for me too?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, something that we could explore. But yeah, it's just kind of a matter of balancing everything that we've got going on at the moment. Again, I keep using the same answer, but it's just a balance, really. It's just a balance between what we've got in development versus what we can do. So, and as per Kaizen, like what we I said Kaizen again, so I have to take a shot now. But as per that, we want to make sure that we're building upon it, and we want to make sure the biggest building blocks that people have been asking for, we get in first, and then go from there. So.
Cool. And then same person, another question here, which is, can we get an improved wrap editor? We're missing skew, mirror, and the ability to choose a secondary color for decals that have two sections. And they're kind of going a bit more detail here as well. But they reference something like Gran Turismo 7 having like a really good wrap editor as well. But I know you guys touched on photo mode already and those kind of community features. So maybe touching on that a bit more.
Yeah, we love our wrap editor. We love what you can do in there, and we hear you. We hear that there's things in there which aren't up to spec of what you're after. We've had some great feedback from our player council too recently around it. I saw there was some random guy called Pants in the chats trying to say that he wants all of the source code. Can we delete him? But yeah, we would love to invest some more time in it, and like I say, I don't want to give the same answer, but it's just a matter of balance between what we want to invest in. So yeah, if there are some targeted things that people really want to have, then let's look at those. Let's see if we can then put those in. But yeah, we like wraps. Wraps are cool.
Awesome. And then Pat, another one here for you, and actually there's kind of two here that are probably linked together, so I can probably give you these two at the same time, but maybe actually I'll separate them out, because obviously we've got to answer these questions independently, which is another one from Inconspicuous, which is, are there any plans to diversify the playlists more, such as playing Buena Vista with S-Class cars or Lakeshore Express in B-Class cars?
Interesting. Yeah, we've touched on a couple of things. We've touched on server sizes. We're touching on playlists and what's in playlists and differences of choices. I would say Volume 6 has a lot to offer you, is what I would say as the answer to that question. If you're frustrated by races and not being able to get into full lobbies, if you are wondering how playlists might get mixed up, how we might change it up, then I think Volume 6 is probably what you're looking for.
Okay. And then this will be our last question for the day, just because we had so many and there were a lot of duplicate ones. But for the time being, this will be our last one, and then obviously we'll look to do some more of these Q&As in the future as well. But it's a question here from Are You Cookies lol, I think is the username, and it says here, "Hey Unbound team, are there any plans of adding a quick play matchmaking feature into multiplayer, such as Speedless once had in Need for Speed 2015, however not related to the lobby the player is in, meaning that finding a race with other players will be a matter of seconds and not lobby dependent?" I think you kind of touched on that a little bit there already, Pat.
I did, damn. I can see him there. Are you cookies?
Are You Cookies? But it's
Are you
Are You
cookies?
Cookies lol.
Are you
His Reddit username's different.
Are you cooking? If it was you and you asked the question, I gave the answer before. Volume 6 is the place you want to go.
Awesome. Right. Well, as I say, we'll wrap it up for the time being. I mean, guys, is there anything? This is kind of the floor's open to you guys. If you want to, maybe leave on a note from you guys, maybe thanking the community. Totally up to you, Pat. I mean, we'll pass it on to you for the time being. But anything you want to say to end things out?
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I think this is great. I think the opportunity to come and answer some of your questions, and maybe, we didn't get to all of your questions, and I know that sucks, but, keep coming with us, and we'll try and be as transparent as we can be. And over this year, we're really trying something different, and we've engaged with the Player Council. They will have mentioned that to you last week. A lot of people. Some people, they're even in this chat. I've seen them. We had a lot of good conversation with them, and we're going to keep that conversation going. And we want to keep this going because it's your game. And we want to build it, and we want to build it in the right way for the future. And that's kind of starting today and starts very soon with a new update.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing that we've got out of the last kind of few weeks and since the announcement of year 2 is that everyone just wants the best for Need for Speed, and everyone wants the game to do well and to succeed, and everyone just to have fun playing it. John, do you want to mention anything else before we round things off?
Yeah, I think of being I don't know, slightly overwhelmed with the passion. Like the passion's always there with the Need for Speed fan base, right? But actually, just seeing the passion coming through for the announcement of the timeline, what we're doing with Kaizen in general. What I love to see is just as well, like the feedback coming in, and it's positive, and it's positive and well thought out feedback, right? That's what we love to see. So keep that coming. And just to say, yeah, just a quick plus up and thank you to our player council. They've been great. We continue to engage with them, and really just like a big thanks as well to the team. Like we said, quite a small team. The guys are really kicking butt. They're really working hard on bringing you cool stuff over the course of the next year. So yeah, be patient, but also be excited. Please be excited. I think somebody does that, right? So maybe Nintendo. We don't talk about it.
There's a lot of stuff to get excited about with year 2, and yeah, I can't wait for people to kind of get their hands on it as well. Now, guys, obviously we'll wrap it up there. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend and looks forward to what we have coming up over the next few weeks and months. If you did miss any of the questions that we answered today, what we're going to do is we're going to transcribe this whole video, this whole stream that we've done here, and then we'll jump back into the original Reddit post, reply to those comments that were, well, the questions that were asked from everyone, and those that got answers, and then we'll probably do a separate post as well, just to kind of like, put everything all in one go as well. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us today for this, and hopefully we can see you again soon for another one. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.